Good morning, grade 6 IS. Welcome back to our video lessons. For today, we are going to be learning about using and understanding timelines. Now, we're picking up from where we left off in class. So, the reason why we are doing this is to equip you with the skills that you're going to need to study and analyze history. And so, as IS, a section of this is history, we need to focus and make sure we have equipped you well to be lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and actually seekers of truth. So, um, a timeline. Timelines measure or categorize events. They're organizations of events, and so it connects info from the timeline to history. It provides context for the situation. So, if you want to know, um, say, what was the build-up to World War II. You go through the timeline and see other events that were happening in Europe, in Asia, in the Americas. What's going on before the big start of the war? And so oftentimes you need that. However, you're never going to know unless you are putting things contextually in order of how they happen. And so um, a timeline, an example of a timeline and how you use them every day is your schedule, right? You go to school, right? Period one, or first you have homeroom. Period one, you have English. Period two, PE. Period three, PE. Period four, you name it, all the way throughout the day. It's this timeline, this set category by category, event after event after event, certain time things are happening. If you're wondering when you lost your paper or your pencil, you can go back and you can remember, well, I had it in English and I had it in math, but I didn't have it in Bahasa. Okay, so I lost it either between Bahasa class and English or in English and math, right? And so you go back and you rework. And so that's the same thing that we use timelines for in history is we go back and we prove things, right? If a person was in another country at the time of an event in a different country, we can use timelines to see would they have enough time to arrive in time to do the crime or to attack, those kinds of things. They're very important. You'll create timelines in all of our units going forward. So without any further ado, I'm going to give you examples of timelines and the process to build them. And so, number one, these are just types of timelines. So the first one is a horizontal timeline. That's a straight line with an event happening at the beginning, going from left to right. The first event happened on the left, next one right next to it, down all the way till you get to the end, right? Happy birthday, um, Orson, okay? All the things that happened for Orson's birthday. Vertical timeline would be instead of it being um, from left to right, it would be top to bottom. So vertical is up and down. So we start from the bottom and we go to the top. So first thing, second thing, third, you're building a ladder. The next one could be pictures, right? You can add pictures illustrated through the events of, it almost might look like a cartoon or something like that. Tabletop timelines, they add objects, artifacts, photographs, and frames, etc. And so it's more like a scrapbook type look. A circle timeline is one that you might want to use when you do the assignment at the end of this lesson. And it's a circle, right? A day is 24 hours and then the next one starts. So at 6 o'clock you wake up, 7:30 you're in homeroom, right? You just keep going around the clock labeling everything that you did at specific times and then it's a circle. The next one's, oh, here is an example of a horizontal timeline. Okay, you can see things going from left to right, ordered above and below, dates marked, information marked with it, photographs, things like that to help you understand dates along the middle. Next one is a vertical timeline, events that happened earlier down to the bottom, things marked on either side, easy to read, easy to see, dates included, very important. Table, okay, you use a table timeline for class, period one. What are you doing? Period two. What are you doing? Period three. What are you doing? Period four. It's your day. It's your timetable. It's the timeline. A clock, okay, is a circle or a clock, right? You can go around There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right, events that happen during the day, going clockwise around, of course. Label specifics, times, dates, things like that. There's more timelines. These timelines are computer generated. They use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, adding information to create a personal or historical timeline. These are graphical. You can add little moving parts. Meandering timeline could represent a journey, a migration that doesn't follow a linear path, but maybe is a timeline of how um, the Silk Road went through Asia, things like that, meandering through a map, a timeline directly on a map showing the distance, place, and time on a journey. I like to use maps as timelines when it comes to the expansion and the colonization era, or World War II or World War One, as borders change. These are all map timelines, different time periods on maps. They use the same when they study different things like glacier melt types, those kind of things, timelines on maps. Parallel timelines put a student's life on the left and the world events on the right, right? You have one timeline happening and you compare the same date, same time with another timeline right next to each other, comparing and contrasting. Uh, Living timelines, construction large timeline on the wall, floor. We do this in my classroom when you come, is I measure how tall you are at the beginning of the year. Throughout the year, we see how much you are growing. That is a living timeline. It's not finished yet. This is map timeline example of the time for 4,000 years history map. You can see the Hittites, Egyptians, what are they doing, different time periods, how much they're growing before Jesus, after Christ, those kinds of things are map timelines. Parallel timelines, one is happening below the events of um, ice scales. Okay, the other one is clusters, one above, one below. Now, it's your turn. For homework, you will have to create a timeline of your day. It has to be 12 hours. You get to choose if you want a vertical or you want a horizontal, you want a circle, whatever it is, you choose the timeline. However, it must start by 6 a.m. and go for 12 hours. Oh no, it must be a 12 hours. So if you wake up at 7, you got to do a timeline from 7 to 7. Everything you did, writing down dates, time, place, so that when we come to class, I can ask you, what were you doing at 9:40? Okay, or what did you have for breakfast? Those kinds of things. What activities did you do yesterday? You can find out the time like that. So I hope you have enough information to start. If you have any questions, please email me and I will see you in class.